everyone. Today, I want to talk to you about a phrase that often gets misunderstood. Think about yourself always. At first glance, it might sound selfish, but in truth, it's about self-awareness, self-care, and building a foundation strong enough to support others as well as yourself. You are your own responsibility. It's a simple statement, yet it carries profound meaning. In a world that often teaches us to depend on others, our parents, teachers, friends, or partners, it can be easy to forget that at the end of the day, the person most responsible for your life, your happiness, and your future is you. No one else can live your life for you. Want? What do I believe in? What makes me happy? Taking responsibility for yourself means asking those questions honestly and often. It means recognizing your patterns, habits, and mindset, even the uncomfortable ones, and choosing to grow from them instead of running away. Life won't always be easy, and things won't always go as planned. But blaming others or waiting for someone to save you is not a solution. Owning your life means facing your challenges with courage and resilience. There's a difference between being supported and being dependent. Support is helpful, and we all need it sometimes. But if you constantly look outside of yourself for direction, approval, or answers, you give away your power. When you realize you are your own responsibility, you begin to reclaim that power. You understand that your happiness isn't your partner's job. Your success isn't your boss's duty. Your healing isn't your parents'. Taking responsibility also means being honest about your choices. Every decision, from how you treat your body to how you spend your time, shapes your reality. Excuses may feel comfortable in the short term, but they keep you stuck. Growth starts when you stop pointing fingers and start asking yourself, what can I do to change this? What's in my control? Even when life hands you unfair circumstances, you still have the power to choose your response. That choice is your strength. This idea isn't meant to make you feel alone. In fact, it can be deeply empowering. Because once you realize you are your own responsibility, you stop waiting for permission to start living fully. You become the author of your story. You build self-trust. You make decisions that align with your truth instead of living for someone else's approval. You begin to set goals, take risks, and pursue what matters to you. Not because anyone told you to, but because you believe your worth. Self-care is often misunderstood. In a world that celebrates hustle, productivity, and constant giving, taking time for yourself can be seen as indulgent or even selfish. But the truth is, self-care is not selfish. It's necessary. It is the foundation for your well-being, the fuel that keeps you going, and the quiet strength that allows you to show up for others without losing yourself. Taking care of yourself is not about ignoring others or avoiding responsibility. It's about recognizing that you are a human being with limits, needs, and emotions. Just like your phone needs to be recharged to function, your body and mind need rest, nourishment, and attention. When you ignore those needs, it's not long before stress, exhaustion, resentment begin to take over. You can't pour from an empty cup, and trying to do so only leads to burnout. Many people believe that taking time for themselves is a luxury they can't afford, especially if others are depending on them. But consider this: how helpful are you to your family, your friends, or your work when you're physically drained or emotionally overwhelmed? Real self-care allows you to give your best, not your leftovers. It's not about doing less for others. It's about doing more for yourself so that you can continue to be there for the people and things that matter to you. Self-care looks different for everyone. For some, it's taking a walk alone to clear their mind. For others, it's saying no to a social event they don't have the energy for. It might be setting a boundary, getting enough sleep, eating nourishing food, or seeking therapy. These acts are not signs of weakness. They're signs of wisdom. They show that you understand your limits and value your own well-being enough to protect it. There is also an emotional side to self-care. It involves speaking kindly to yourself, forgiving your mistakes, and letting go of guilt when you choose your own needs over someone else's expectations. Society often teaches us to value sacrifice, especially in roles like parenting, caregiving, or leadership. But constant self-sacrifice leads to self-neglect, and over time, that neglect erodes your spirit. True strength comes not from running yourself into the ground, but from knowing when to pause, breathe, and refuel your energy. The truth is, people who take care of themselves are better equipped to love, lead, and live fully. When you're at peace within, you respond to life with clarity and compassion rather than stress and reactivity. You become a role model for others, showing them that it's okay to rest, to heal, and to prioritize their own health. So the next time you feel guilty for taking a break, remember this: self-care is not a... Knowing your boundaries is one of the most powerful forms of self-respect. Boundaries are not walls that shut people out. They are guidelines that protect your emotional, physical, and mental space. They help you define what is acceptable and what is not, what you're comfortable with and what crosses the line. When you know your boundaries and honor them, you give yourself the permission to be safe, whole, and true to who you are. Many people struggle with boundaries because they fear rejection, conflict, or being seen as difficult. But the truth is, without boundaries, you become vulnerable to being taken advantage of, misunderstood, or emotionally depleted. Saying yes when you mean no might seem polite or accommodating in the moment, but over time it builds frustration and resentment. Knowing your boundaries means having the courage to be honest about your needs, your limits, and your values, even if that honesty is uncomfortable. Boundaries are essential in every relationship, whether it's with family, friends, partners, or colleagues. They help create clarity and mutual respect. When you clearly communicate what you can and cannot accept, you invite others to treat you with consideration. And if someone repeatedly disrespects your boundaries, it's a sign that the relationship may need to change. This isn't about punishing others. It's about protecting your peace. Understanding your boundaries starts with self-awareness. Pay attention to how you feel around certain people or in certain situations. Do you feel drained, anxious, or disrespected. These are signs that a boundary might be missing or being crossed. It might be a boundary around your time, like not answering work emails after hours. It could be an emotional boundary, such as not allowing someone to guilt you into doing something that feels wrong. Or it might be a physical boundary, like needing personal space or rest. Setting boundaries can feel awkward, especially if you're used to people-pleasing or avoiding conflict. But boundaries are not about being mean. They're about being clear. You can be firm and kind at the same time. For example, saying, "I can't talk right now, but I'd love to catch up later," is a way to honor your energy while still showing care. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. It's also important to remember that people may not always like your boundaries, especially if they've benefited from you not having any. But you are not responsible for other people's comfort when it comes at the cost of your well-being. Your job is not to make everyone happy. It's to stay true to yourself. Ultimately, knowing your boundaries is an act of self-love. It's how you protect your time, energy, and emotional health. It allows you to build relationships that are based on mutual respect, not obligation. When you know and respect your boundaries, you stop living in reaction to others and start living in alignment with yourself. And that is where real peace begins. Investing in your growth is one of the most valuable commitments you can make to yourself. Growth doesn't just happen with time. It happens with intention, effort, and a deep belief that you are worthy of becoming more than you were yesterday. When you choose to invest in your personal, emotional, intellectual, or spiritual development, you are planting seeds for a stronger, wiser, and more fulfilled version of yourself. It starts with a mindset, a willingness to be curious, to ask questions, and to stay open. Growth means stepping outside your comfort zone and allowing yourself to be a student for your life, your happiness, and your future is you. No one else can live your life for you. No one else can feel your emotions, understand your dreams with the same intensity, or take the exact steps needed to shape the life you want. That task belongs to you alone. It begins with self-awareness, learning who you truly are. Many people go through life reacting to the expectations of others without stopping to ask themselves, what do I want? What do I believe in? What makes me happy? Taking responsibility for yourself means asking those questions honestly and often. It means recognizing your patterns, habits, and mindset, even the uncomfortable ones, and choosing to grow from them instead of running away. Life won't always be easy, and things won't always go as planned. But blaming others or waiting for someone to save you is not a solution. Owning your life means facing your challenges with courage and resilience. In the end, growth is not just about reaching goals or becoming better. It's about becoming more you, more aware, more alive, more connected to your purpose. It's about breaking through old limitations and discovering what's possible when you believe in your own potential. So invest in your growth, not someday, but today. Your future self will thank you for the work you do now. Because when you grow, everything around you begins to grow too. Choosing peace over pleasing is one of the most transformative decisions you can make for your well-being. Many of us are taught whether directly or subtly, that making others happy is a measure of our worth. We learn to say yes when we mean no, to smile when we're uncomfortable, and to shrink ourselves to fit into others' expectations. But constantly trying to please others comes at a high cost. Your inner peace, choosing peace over pleasing is one of the most transformative decisions you can make for your well-being. Many of us are taught, whether directly or subtly, that making others happy is a measure of our worth. We learn to say yes when we mean no, to smile when we're uncomfortable, and to shrink ourselves to fit into others' expectations. But constantly trying to please others comes at a high cost. Your inner peace, your authenticity, and often your self-respect. Pleasing others can feel rewarding at first. It earns approval, praise, and sometimes love. But over time, it becomes exhausting. You begin to realize that no matter how much you do, it's never enough. People's expectations keep growing, and your own needs keep shrinking. You start living someone else's life, guided not by your values, but by their opinions. And in the process, you lose touch with who you really are. You teach others how to treat you by the way you treat yourself. This may sound simple, but its impact is deep and far-reaching. People observe your actions, your words, your boundaries or lack of them, and take cues from how you carry yourself. If you consistently put yourself last, tolerate disrespect, or stay silent when you're hurt, you unintentionally send the message that this behavior is acceptable. On the other hand, when you honor your worth, speak up for yourself, and set clear boundaries, you set a standard for how others are allowed to show up in your life. This doesn't mean you can control everyone's behavior. Some people will still test limits, push boundaries, or try to take advantage. But the more clearly and consistently you reinforce what is in and isn't okay, the easier it becomes to filter out those who aren't aligned because you're difficult, but because you value your peace and your dignity. And the people who genuinely care about you will rise to that standard. They'll listen more, respect your boundaries, and treat you with the care you show yourself. It's important to remember that teaching others how to treat you doesn't require anger or aggression. You don't have to yell to be heard or demand to be respected. In fact, the most powerful boundary setting often comes from calm confidence. A quiet but firm, "I'm not okay with that," can be far more effective than a loud confrontation. Your consistency and clarity are what make the difference. Sometimes, as you begin to shift how you treat yourself, you'll notice changes in your relationships. Some people will respect your growth and adapt. Others may resist or even leave. That can be painful, but it's also revealing. It shows who truly values you, not for what you do for them, but for who you are. And that clarity is a gift. In the end, you are always setting the tone for how others engage with you. You can't force people to change, but you can decide what you will and won't allow. When you value yourself, others are far more likely to do the same. You become a mirror, reflecting the kind of love, respect, and care that you want and deserve to receive.